Right then, United are back in action. Second game now on us for pre-season. It's Rangers that we have got following that 1-0 defeat to Rosenborg on Monday. Now, Ten Hag wasn't pleased with the performance. I think that's right to say. He was pretty negative, talking about Vitek getting man of the match. Said, let's say you got the opportunity from the team to make some good saves. I like that. It's not necessarily digging out the players. It's being honest, but it's also being, asking for more, demanding a little bit more out of the players. And like Rosenborg, Rangers will not be an easy test. They're 2 games into their own pre-season. They completed a little bit of a Netherlands camp with a 2-1 defeat to Ajax. So they could look to give some new signings, Jefte and Clinton Nsiala, some minutes as they step into Philippe Clement's Rangers plans. Rangers are without Cantwell and Tavernier due to injury, but Tavernier could potentially feature. Now, for United, Zirkzee isn't going to be available. Harry Maguire is supposedly going to be fit to start after making his own preparations for the season. Jadon Sancho is rumoured to be making his first appearance in a United shirt in 10 months. I'm skeptical on whether that will be the case. Malacia is back in training, but I don't think he'll feature just yet. So I think it's probably another opportunity to play the youngsters. Now, if you look at how Rangers play, there's no guarantees in pre-season because a lot of managers do want to look at like secondary formations, or maybe they might want to work on a specific thing. They might play United and say, do you know what? Let's prepare ourselves for playing against the better teams and maybe work on the back foot. They might say, let's try and work on transitions. They might say, let's try and work on our crossing in the final third. There could be, and probably will be, a focus for what they're trying to work on in each of those games, which doesn't always lead to complete performances. I know some of you hate it when I do this, but like obviously there is some relevance to the sort of things that I do with Paddock in pre-season, and that comes from speaking to coaches at a high level. Last season, for example, we lost to a team that was a lot higher level than us, and we lost 5-0. The reason we lost 5-0 is that we kept losing the ball playing out, and the reason we kept losing the ball playing out is that we was playing out regardless of whether it was working or not. So we was trying to find a solution on the fly because there are no medals for pre-season victories. There are nothing matters about whether you win these games or not. So what matters is, can you do it in match situations against an opponent who doesn't know what's coming? Can you work on certain things? So when I say that managers are working on that, that's what managers are working on. So there might be a pattern. It might be when we win the ball in our third or on the edge of our third, we're going to look to switch and go direct. It might be that, like every single time we win back possession, can we go laterally across the pitch and then forward into the channel? It might be something as basic as that. It might be, can we get rotation in the wide triangles? Can we get the winger or the wide forward rolling in as the fullback rolls forward, and as that sort of number 8 rolls back in to support where the fullback has vacated from. We might be working on those. We might be working on central rotations. We might be working on having the striker dragging out a centre half. He might start wide, drag a centre half out into the opposite channel to free up for an underlap for the opposite side fullback. Those are the sorts of patterns, when people talk about patterns of play, those are the sorts of things where you say, right, okay, it doesn't matter how this game goes, so we're going to work on this. Second half, we're going to work on this. And you might give different groups of players different things. On the centre half, you might say, okay, you two lads, I want to see you two get a grip of the set pieces at half time. That's a good way for it to set pieces all across the first half. Second half, I might give it to the fullbacks to organise. I might give it to number 6 to organise. You might say to the fullbacks, I want to see you guys initiating whatever. I might see, can you alternate between one of you getting into the final third every time or not? Is there an opportunity that both of you can stretch the play by both getting into the final third at the same time? These are the little instructions that you use pre-season to work on. And I like that sort of stuff. So yes, we look at performance, and we certainly look at individual performances and how they're getting on. And you want to try and identify some of the patterns that you're seeing in that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's not always going to be the case. And obviously there's no guarantees that you're going to see how Rangers are going to line up in pre-season, because you probably aren't going to get a complete performance. And also, Rangers aren't in a good situation at the moment. They've got a lot of dark clouds hanging over the club. Behind the scenes, The turmoil has sort of spilled out onto the pitch. They're desperate to offload players in this window. Clement lines up typically in a 4-2-3-1. That hasn't always been the gospel, though. Injuries and suspensions forced his hand into switching up the formations probably more than he like. Rangers do opt to play long ball rather than building out. Those passes are typically diagonal and targeted at the wingers who get freed up by, again, going back to that, rotations and fluidity. The centre-halves, they're keen to drive the ball forward and try and bend the opposition shape a little bit. And what I mean by that is you will see the centre-halves starting centrally and trying to dribble with the ball diagonally to see which of the forwards is going to carry out a press or a man-marking job on them. Most teams tend to line up in a 4-4-2 or a 4-1-4-1 sort of formation without the ball once it all gets nice and compact and narrow. So if you've got that double or single point in front of the midfield, what you will likely see is a centre-half trying to almost draw the fire a little bit by coming into the sort of zone where you would expect one of the strikers to press him. Can he drag you out? And then can somebody else rotate into that gap and then exploit the gap that player's left? It's pretty smart. Pretty basic, but it's pretty smart. There's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of moving pieces in long ball. Like, people think long ball is basic, and it can be extremely basic, and it can be thoughtless long ball. But like, long ball with a purpose can be fucking hard work to deal with. The penetration that they will have will come from midfield. It waits for those midfielders. It waits for the wingers to kind of tuck in before looking for those sort of devastating passes. Yilmaz, he's going to be the one to watch. He's getting on the end of receiving those long balls. It could be that new signing Jefte instead, potentially. Rangers' biggest chance, I think you can see it having a bit of an effect against United, and I'll be honest with you, will be that. It will be turning our defence around because it will want to play high on the halfway line, and it will be, they'll get the ball, they'll move into the half space or the channel, and they will smash a diag into the other angle, and they will get gains by doing that. Whether they can get a final ball from that remains to be seen, but they'll get gains. They'll get territorial gains by doing that for sure. Out of possession, they do what everybody else does, which is a 4-4-2, nice to come back. You'll see the likes of Cantwell primarily being the man that goes up and sits alongside the number 9. And they will pressure that opposition back line. They'll cover 4 between the two of them, so they have to work hard there. And recovery is a big one for them. If a player gets beaten, the next available player generally gets themselves over and covers, especially centrally. And they're very effective when they've combined that with the sort of aggression that you expect in Scottish football. They defend well as a group. They keep it simple. They'll go direct. They'll look for switches. So yeah, this is the starting 11 that we're expecting from them. And Starman is one of Ronaldo's mates, Rabbi Matondo. So left winger, he's quick, he's fucking rapid actually, he's got real good dribble and he's very direct. He's going to be a big test for whichever fullback he is that he's up against, and he'll be out to prove something. For United, I think we'll probably see him lining up 4-2-3-1 again. I think it'll probably be similar to last week where we get 2 11s. I think it could be something on the lines of Vitek, Wan-Bissaka, Amas, Evans, and Fish. I thought Will Fish looked pretty solid, actually. He's had quite a bit of men's football experience, actually, so maybe we're finding out what he's actually all about. Maybe he can make himself like one of the lower down choices and stick around at the club. But he did look all right against Rosenborg in the first half. Midfield, Casemiro and Mabry, although I wouldn't mind seeing Collyer, to be honest, because I thought he looked really good. So I wouldn't mind seeing him in the first half in one of these games to see what he can do. Forward line, Williams, Mount, Rashford, and Mather, maybe, up front. Again, it's a youth team lineup. We'll be looking for the likes of Rashford, Mount, Casemiro, and Hannibal actually as well a little bit to start taking a bit of control of this game. Hannibal's got an opportunity here where he could really find himself in and around the first team and playing some regular football because he's good enough. He just needs a little bit of an opportunity. For United, I think what they got to do in this game is they got to improve the tempo. Last time out against Rosenborg, the biggest criticism that the tempo was flat. Now you're playing against a team that's in season. They are going to be fitter than you, but there was no excuse for the tempo. It just wasn't there. We were dead in the water. It was like they wanted or expected to lose that first game. So that's got to improve. It's no good having a good preseason if there's going to be no improvement. You have to improve these things. Secondly, I think you just keep it very simple. Rangers are a solid side, but they're by no means a team that's going to dominate you with the ball, press you from minute one. It's only a friendly. It should be fairly simple. Allow us to play at times. And I think Ten Hag will want to see a team that's getting the basics of the philosophy right. So keeping it simple, I think, is very important. And finally, I think pressure. Put Rangers under pressure. I think you'll get success. And put pressure on the ball carrier and you might get the ball back off them in this. Ten Hag wants us to play a certain way, and one of the core foundations to that is having pressure on the ball carrier when you don't have possession. And Rangers play long ball, so that doesn't ooze confidence when playing out. So if you can start to block off the angle they want to turn into, you're going to force them to maybe play a square ball rather than going long. If you can get right in their face with a quick press, and then you've got the opportunity to take the ball off from there. For the young lads that are going to feature, which will be a lot of them, displaying energy and grit from the first whistle will be a real opportunity for them to get more chances. It's very, very basic stuff in preseason. You want to see grit and you want to see willingness, which is very, very basic. And then you want to start to see the shape and the philosophy start to come into it. But we can do all of that. Either way, should be a decent game. Let me know how you think it's going to go. Let me know who you're looking for. Who do you want to see more of after what we saw against Rosenborg? I think that's a better way to leave it, isn't it? Take it easy. See you in the next one. Bye-bye. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.